Are you ready to uncover the truth? When it comes to preparing for the unexpected, many preppers are making critical mistakes without even realizing it. In this video, we're breaking down the top reasons why 99% of preppers are doing it wrong, and most importantly, how you can avoid the same pitfalls. Whether you're new to prepping or a seasoned pro, it's time to challenge what you think you know and take your survival game to the next level. Stay tuned, because the strategies we share could make all the difference when it really counts. Let's get started. 1. Shelter and environmental protection. When it comes to survival, most preppers are dropping the ball on shelter. Sure, you've got your fancy bug-out bag filled to the brim with gear, but here's the blunt truth. A shelter isn't about luxury or even comfort. It's about staying alive. The elements are unforgiving, and if you're caught without proper protection, hypothermia, heat stroke, or sheer exhaustion can take you out faster than you think. You have to get it right. The basics are straightforward, yet most people overcomplicate them. The essential components? A waterproof tarp, paracord, and solid ground insulation. That's it. The tarp serves as your defense against rain, wind, or even snow. Elements that wreck your stamina and morale. An 8x10 tarp is lightweight, compact, and endlessly versatile. Don't show up with some oversized monstrosity or worse, nothing at all. A simple lean-to shelter can help cut the wind, keep you dry, and create a haven for rest and recovery. It's Survival 101. Then comes paracord. If you're still relying on twigs or duct tape to hold your setup together, stop fooling yourself. Paracord is reliable, strong, and multifunctional. Learn basic knots or you're wasting this crucial tool. It's your lifeline to securing your shelter solidly against shifting conditions. Don't trust paracord bracelets or cheap pre-made kits. Invest in the real thing. Finally, and here's the part people love to ignore. Ground insulation matters. You can have a waterproof setup above you, but if you're sleeping on the cold, hard ground, your body heat is draining fast. Closed-cell foam pads like the Thermarest Z-Lite are almost bulletproof for this purpose. Inflatable pads are lighter but risky because even a small puncture will leave you sleeping on bare earth. Improvisation is possible in desperate circumstances, but it's a last resort. Contractor trash bags stuffed with leaves or debris can keep your body from direct contact with the cold ground. Just don't expect it to last. That's stopgap survival, not preparation. Stop thinking of shelter as an afterthought. It's priority number one for a reason. If you're underprepared or cutting corners, you're playing with fire in environments that don't care if you're alive or dead. Quit making excuses and get your shelter set up right before you need it. 2. Water procurement and purification. When it comes to survival, the single most critical resource is water. Yet 99% of preppers are cutting corners that could cost them their lives. Let's be blunt. Having 10 cases of bottled water stuffed in your closet isn't a water supply. It's a temporary buffer. You need a sustainable plan, and most people don't. First, sourcing water is more strenuous than you think. Don't assume you'll just find a stream. You need multiple options, which might include lakes, rivers, rain-catching systems, or groundwater wells. Rain catchment systems are a no-brainer, but most people fail to install a proper first-flush diverter, meaning they're drinking contaminants washed off their roof. Food-grade barrels are non-negotiable here. Don't cut corners by using whatever plastic you find lying around. Once you secure water, clean isn't clean enough. Most don't understand how insidiously dangerous waterborne pathogens and contaminants can be. A crystal-clear stream can still harbor bacteria, viruses, or even heavy metals. Boiling water is effective for killing microorganisms, but it won't touch chemical or heavy metal contamination. That's where purification tools come in. Here's something to remember. Not all filters are created equal. The MSR autoflow system is popular for gravity-fed filtration, but if you're skipping a pre-filter, sediment-heavy water will clog it faster than you think. Don't be the person cursing your gear because you didn't think ahead. And the Grail GeoPress? While it's a handy all-in-one solution, don't forget that cartridges have a limited lifespan. Track their use religiously because a used-up cartridge is as useful as none at all. Stainless steel containers are another overlooked tool. Boil water over an open flame, and you can physically rid it of most pathogens. Collapsible bottles are great for packability, but ensure they're durable enough. You don't want a ruptured reservoir when you're miles from your base. The bottom line? Excuses and assumptions won't save you. Avoid these rookie mistakes. Build a layered water plan, and ensure you approach water procurement and purification like your life depends on it. Because it does. Half measures aren't enough. Test your setup, educate yourself, and adapt as needed. If you fail at water, nothing else in your prepping plan will matter. 3. Firecraft. 99% of preppers are failing hard at firecraft. and it's the kind of oversight that could leave you cold, wet, and in serious trouble when it matters most. Why? Because they rely on just one method or don't test their gear in real-world conditions. Fire is life in a survival situation, period. Without it, you won't stay warm, cook food, purify water, or signal for help. If you aren't taking firecraft seriously, you're on track for failure. The first mistake most people make is not having redundant ignition systems. A single Bic lighter stuffed in your gear isn't enough.
Sure, it's reliable and can last 10+ years, but what happens when it runs out of fuel or you drop it?
Always double or triple up. Pair that lighter with a ferrocerium rod. Ferro rods are fantastic because they work in wet conditions and can produce sparks hot enough to ignite damp tinder, but here's the thing. They're useless if you haven't practiced with them. Try sparking some Vaseline-coated cotton balls or tinder cubes now, not when you're desperate. For advanced backups, have tools like Fresnel lenses for solar ignition or UCO stormproof matches. Those matches burn for over 15 seconds in wind and rain, so there's no excuse for not having a waterproof ignition source. Next up, think about sustained heat. Starting the fire is one thing. Keeping it going is another. S-Bit tablets are an efficient tool that many overlook. These compact fuel tablets burn at a scorching 1400 degrees for 12 minutes, which is more than enough to boil water or kickstart damp wood. They're lightweight, portable, and reliable. Exactly what you want in a survival kit. Don't know how to use them properly? Learn now. Finally, it's not enough to just own this gear. You need to test it. Overconfidence is a killer in prepping. Have you practiced lighting a fire in pouring rain? Can you start one with frozen hands or limited dexterity? If not, you better start now. Firecraft isn't just about collecting tools. It's about mastering them before a life-or-death situation. Preparation isn't about showing off your shiny gear. It's about ensuring you can execute when stakes are high. Bottom line, stop winging it. Fire is non-negotiable. Build redundancy into your firecraft plan, test every method, and understand that your life might depend on it. Anything less is reckless. 4. Nutrition and food security. When it comes to food storage and survival, most preppers are making critical mistakes that could jeopardize their long-term safety. The truth is, stocking up on food isn't enough. It's about stocking the right food, understanding your caloric needs, and planning for sustainability. Too many people focus on quantity without regard for the realities of shelf life, nutritional density, or the energy output required for hard survival living. First, let's get real about caloric density versus shelf stability. Freeze-dried meals look great on the surface. They're lightweight, easy to pack, and taste decent. But unless you have immediate access to a reliable water source, they're essentially useless. You can't eat them dry without wrecking your digestive system. On the other hand, emergency ration bars, those dense 3,600-calorie bricks, might not make your taste buds happy, but they're ready to eat. No prep required. The point? Don't buy food based on comfort. Buy for durability and efficiency. What about foraging? Preppers tend to underestimate how vital basic knowledge of local edible plants and wildlife can be. Keeping a pocket naturalist guide and a reliable fire starter in your gear is non-negotiable. But here's the catch. If you've never actually tried foraging, now is the time to learn. You can't afford to gamble with trial and error in the field when stakes are high and energy is scarce. Practice identifying and preparing wild foods before you need them. The next failure is underestimating calorie needs. Survival isn't sedentary. It's an all-day grind of moving, lifting, and working. A baseline of 2,200 calories per day may suffice for some, but survival activities can push those needs far higher. And no, all calories aren't equal. High-calorie junk items won't sustain you like nutrient-dense options will. You need foods that pull double duty. Calories paired with proteins, vitamins, and essential fats. Finally, sustainability is key. If you're just hoarding canned goods and ration packs without planning for renewable nutrition sources, you're headed for a dead end. Seeds, tools for hunting or fishing, and the ability to preserve food, like smoking fish or drying meat, could mean the difference between thriving and starving when reserves run out. Don't just stockpile blindly. Start thinking strategically about your food security now. Your life will depend on it. Plan smarter, not just harder. 5. Navigation and signaling. Most preppers grossly underestimate the importance of proper navigation and signaling tools. Sure, everyone loves to brag about their high-tech GPS devices, but relying solely on technology is a rookie mistake. Here's the cold, hard truth. Your fancy Garmin GPS might impress your friends, but when its battery dies or an EMP renders it useless, you'll be completely lost, both figuratively and literally. This is survival we're talking about. There's no excuse for not having backup methods that don't rely on electronics. Traditional compasses and waterproof topographic maps should be staple items in your kit. End of discussion. They don't run on batteries, they aren't susceptible to electromagnetic pulses, and they work in every environment. If you don't know how to use a compass and map together, that's on you. Learn now before it's too late. People often skip over these tools because they're old school. But old school works when everything else fails. Signaling is another category where preppers often fall short. Whistles might sound basic, but a high-decibel emergency whistle can cut through ambient noise far better than your voice. If you think you can just shout your way to rescue, you're fooling yourself. For visual signaling, invest in a quality Solus-grade signal mirror. These aren't just shiny objects. They can reflect sunlight over long distances, helping rescue teams locate you quickly. And don't forget pyrotechnic signaling tools like distress flares. Nothing says I need help like a blazing fireball in the sky. Flares are dramatic and effective, two qualities you'll desperately need when you're stranded. The reality is most preppers overlook these basics, focusing on the latest gadgets instead. Stop relying on tech that can fail at the worst moments. Think redundancy. Think practicality. It's not about how cool your gear looks. It's about how reliable it will be when everything else is stripped away. Focus on mastering traditional navigation methods and carrying simple yet effective signaling tools like whistles, mirrors, and flares. Survival doesn't care about your gear budget or preferences. It rewards those who plan for failure and have the tools to overcome it. 6. Medical preparedness. The truth is, most preppers are underestimating the criticality of proper medical preparedness. Sure, they might have a box labeled first aid kit sitting on a shelf somewhere, but have they dug deep into what they'll truly need when things hit the fan? Probably not. Throwing a few Band-Aids and some expired ibuprofen into a plastic case isn't going to cut it. Real medical preparedness requires intentionality, redundancy, and having supplies tailored to scenarios that could actually occur. If you aren't serious about this, you're setting yourself and those you care about up for failure. Start with hemorrhage control. Major bleeding is one of the fastest ways to lose someone, and simply slapping some gauze on a wound won't stop the blood flow. You need tourniquets. Yes, more than one, and you need to learn how to use them. Cheap knockoffs won't do. Invest in quality ones like the CAT or soft models. Alongside that, stock hemostatic gauze to promote clotting fast, and chest seals for anyone unlucky enough to face penetrating injuries to the torso. These are non-negotiable items. Next, build a kit for sustained care. Simple cuts and scrapes can quickly turn into infections that kill if you don't take care of them properly. Think antiseptic wipes for cleaning wounds, sterile dressings to keep them properly covered, and medical tape to secure everything in place. These items are often overlooked or inadequately stocked, which could be a deadly mistake. Then there's the pharmacological supplies. This is where most amateur preppers fail because they don't think beyond over-the-counter pills. Antibiotics, such as doxycycline, are crucial for addressing infections when a hospital isn't an option. Without them, something as simple as a sinus infection can spiral into a deadly condition. Don't forget basics like medications for diarrhea, because dehydration can kill fast, and allergy treatments for unexpected reactions. Store these in proper temperature-controlled conditions to make sure they're effective when it counts. If you think this kind of preparation is overkill, think again. Emergency medical needs happen fast, they happen often, and they demand the gear and knowledge to address them effectively. Ask yourself this: if someone you care about was bleeding out or fighting off a raging infection, could you handle it? If the answer is anything less than a confident yes, then it's time to step up your medical preparedness game. This isn't optional. This is survival. 7. Multi-purpose tools. Most preppers are getting it completely wrong when it comes to multi-purpose tools. They either overpack unnecessary junk or rely on tools that aren't built to last in survival situations. The idea of one tool for every job can be a game changer, if and only if you actually invest in the right gear that won't fail when it matters most. A durable, high-quality tool could be the difference between surviving and being left scrambling in a life-or-death situation. Don't cut corners here. Cheap tools won't cut it. Literally. Take the Merakniv Garberg knife, for example. This tool is rugged and reliable for heavy-duty cutting tasks. You don't want to end up in the wild with some flimsy, dull blade that can't even process firewood or gut a fish. This knife is an absolute must-have for those who take survival seriously. Likewise, multi-tools aren't just gimmicks. They are lifesavers. Choose ones equipped with solid pliers, ferro rods for starting fires, and emergency whistles. This isn't extra flair, it's the bare minimum. Carry items that serve a purpose, period. Folding saws are another tool people overlook. Many preppers insist on dragging around bulky hatchets for cutting hardwood, but folding saws are faster, safer, and more efficient. The weight you save here can go toward other critical supplies. If you're still relying solely on a hatchet, you're behind the curve. Then there's paracord, one of the most versatile items on the planet. If you're not carrying paracord, you're just asking to fail. Use it to rig shelters, craft fishing lines, or even as emergency sutures. And yet people still skimp on this simple but essential tool. Why? A lack of planning, pure and simple. Finally, don't underestimate the utility of UV-resistant tape. Whether it's repairing gear, securing supplies, or even preventing blisters, it offers solutions in situations where glue or stitching would fall short. It's a quick fix that can be the difference between working gear and useless junk. The bottom line? Most preppers fill their kits with gear they'll never use or tools that won't last under pressure. Stop wasting time and money on ineffective, flashy gadgets. Stick to the essentials, multi-purpose tools that deliver results. Smart preppers know better, and so should you. 8. Communication. One of the biggest failures in prepping is underestimating the importance of proper communication. Most preppers grab a few cheap handheld radios, cross comms off their checklist, and call it a day. Guess what? Those flimsy radios you picked up at the local outdoor store hardly cut it in real-life emergency scenarios. Their range is pitiful unless you're using upgraded antennas. And even then, they're far from reliable in diverse terrain like urban areas, forests, or mountains. If you're relying on those alone, you're setting yourself up for complete failure. Another common mistake? Ignoring communication protocols. If you don't have a standardized system in place, you're wasting valuable time figuring things out during a crisis. That's the last thing you want when seconds can mean life or death. Memorize protocols now while you're safe, and make sure everyone in your group knows them too. Simple tactics like assigning specific call signs, agreeing on check-in times, and establishing rally points can keep everyone on the same page. If your team disbands and no one knows where to regroup or how to connect, you're just a bunch of individuals wandering in chaos.
And here's another rookie move I see all the time: not having backups for your backups.
Electronics will fail. Batteries will die. Smartphones are a joke in a real emergency, especially if communications networks are down. If you don't have waterproof notebooks or other analog methods to record critical information, like resource locations, threats, or your next move, you're toast. The whole "I'll remember it in the moment" nonsense doesn't fly when adrenaline is pumping and you're sleep-deprived. For real preppers, communication isn't just a box to tick off your list. It's a system, a lifeline that has to work under the worst possible conditions. If you haven't drilled scenarios where communication fails, where the radios don't work, or where someone forgets protocol, you're not prepared. Don't think you can just wing it when the time comes, because you can't. Get your act together now. Invest in reliable comms gear, practice with it often, and make sure your team knows how to use it. Anything less is pure negligence. 9. Psychological and hygiene factors. When it comes to prepping, most people obsess over stockpiling food, water, and weapons, but completely forget about two crucial factors: mental health and hygiene. Neglecting these can undo all your hard work. Imagine surviving a disaster only to fall apart mentally or succumb to disease because you didn't plan properly.
If this sounds like you, you're doing it wrong.
First, consider the psychological aspect. Sustaining morale in high-stress situations is non-negotiable. Without it, even the most prepared individual can break down. Don't underestimate how quickly isolation, fear, or monotony can mess with your head. Simple things like a deck of playing cards or access to spiritual texts can be literal lifesavers by providing distractions and coping mechanisms. This isn't about luxury, it's about survival. Then there's hygiene, usually an afterthought or skipped entirely in prepping plans. This is a mistake that can cost you dearly. A lack of sanitation will lead to illness, infections, or worse in any survival scenario. Portable sanitation options like biodegradable bags or portable camping toilets are vital. Don't assume nature will take care of your hygiene needs. It won't. Pack alcohol-based hand sanitizers and disinfectants. They're lightweight and better than taking unnecessary risks. Diseases spread fast in unsanitary conditions, and when medical care is hard to access, prevention is your only safety net. Finally, supplements are another overlooked but critical component. Emergency situations lead to unusual levels of stress and physical exertion. Caffeine tablets can keep you alert during long hours, while magnesium supplements prevent muscle fatigue and support mental clarity. Prepping isn't just about storing food. It's about keeping your body and mind functioning properly to make critical decisions under pressure. If your survival plan doesn't address these psychological and hygiene factors, you've already failed. It's not enough to hoard supplies. Focus on maintaining your mental resilience and health just as much as your food stores or weapons stockpile. This is the difference between simply surviving and staying alive. Don't make the mistake 99% of preppers do. Integrate these essentials into your plan today. 10. Skill development. 99% of preppers are doing this wrong, and it's costing them their survival edge. Simply stockpiling gear is not enough. Owning the latest fire starter, water filter, or first aid kit means absolutely nothing if you don't know how to use them under pressure and in real-world scenarios. Skills are what separate those who will thrive from those who are just hoarding items for false peace of mind. Without practice, your carefully prepared gear is dead weight. Here's the harsh truth. You can't rely on instincts alone if you've never trained under stress. Have you practiced starting a fire in the rain with nothing but a ferro rod? Have you tested your ability to purify water when all you have is a murky puddle? Most preppers skip the grittiness of practice and focus on shiny gadgets instead. That's a mistake. Regularly practicing essential survival activities like knot tying, navigation without GPS, preparing basic shelters, and even basic hunting or fishing can turn life-or-death situations into manageable challenges. Watching YouTube videos or reading manuals won't cut it. You need hands-on experience until the muscle memory becomes second nature. Another missed opportunity among preppers is foregoing proper medical training. A first aid kit won't save anyone if you don't know how to stop a severe bleed, perform CPR, or bandage a wound correctly. Wilderness, first responder training, or even basic first aid certifications are an absolute must. When minutes count, your knowledge can mean the difference between life and death. Fire drills and evacuation plans aren't just for schools. Preppers should conduct family or community-level drills regularly. Practicing things like stress testing communication systems, mapping out escape routes, or simulating sudden food shortages can reveal flaws in your plan before it's too late. Have you bothered testing how quickly you can grab essentials and leave the house in an emergency? Most don't. Stop fooling yourself into thinking stockpiled gear equates to competence. Gear by itself can't save you. Only your mastery of skills will. Get your hands dirty, train under challenging conditions, and push yourself outside your comfort zone. Survival isn't just about having resources. It's about knowing exactly what to do with them when your life depends on it. 11. Core principles of modern prepping. Modern prepping isn't about stockpiling endless food or collecting gear you'll never use. It's about smart, calculated survival strategies that work when it matters. Most preppers are focused on playing preparation dress-up, buying shiny objects and calling themselves ready. That's wrong. Prepping isn't about looking the part. It's about making sure you can actually survive when challenges hit. You need to focus on the core principles that could make or break your readiness. Redundancy is king. No single system you rely on should be the only system. If you have one water filtration device and it breaks, what's your plan? If the only light source you have depends on batteries that die, what's your backup? Every critical system, water, food, power, medical, needs layers of redundancy to safeguard against failure. If you think having just enough is enough, you're one mistake away from total disaster. Second, practicality should dictate your choices. Fancy, expensive gear that you don't know how to use is worthless. Period. Gear needs to be adaptable and have real utility. Dump the unrealistic ambitions of living off gadgets or overpriced tools you've never tested. What works in real survival situations may not match the fantasy you've sold yourself. Go for equipment that you understand, that's durable, and stand the test of time in a crisis. Finally, the often forgotten part of prepping is continuous learning. If you're not constantly learning and building skills, you're stagnating, and that can get you killed. Survival is a dynamic process. Threats change, technology changes, and your personal circumstances evolve. Never stop seeking knowledge or broadening your skill set. But here's the kicker. Education alone isn't enough. You need to engage with a community. Isolation is a hazard. Skills are great, but people are better. Build networks because survival isn't always a one-person game. Most preppers have all of this backward. They focus on stockpile overkill or gear that doesn't matter because it's easier than doing the hard work of actual preparedness. Don't be like them. Follow the core principles: redundancy, practicality, and continuous learning, and you'll rise above the 99% who are committing basic prepping mistakes. Stop surviving in theory. Start preparing in reality.